Hello, welcome to SEMA 2025. Today we are going to do some talking on plastic repair, rebel against replacement. My name is Anton Verwist. I am a specialist from ICAR. I've been in the business for approximately 35, 40 years as a tech and educator, and now as a subject matter expert with ICAR. With me I have John Wilburn from Polyvance. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Anton. Yes, my name is John Wilburn. I am the training manager at Polyvance. I personally have 25 years of experience in plastic repair. I've been with Polyvance for the past 15 years as their training manager.
So, I started out my career back in the early 80s working on Pontiac Fieros, which was a plastic vehicle. So I've been fixing plastic for a long time. So plastic's come a long way. I was trained at an early age on how to fix plastic, but I was shocked at how many people in the industry still struggle with repairing plastic and do not have the technical background or training to still fix plastic parts. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So my first question to you is, what does rebel against replacement really mean?
So, Anton, that's something that we're having a little fun with here at SEMA this year, SEMA 2025. That's our theme for the show. Really, it's it's about a mindset shift. It's about questioning the default approach to plastic, which is replace. I visit body shops. Our sales team visits body shops. And that's one of the most common things that we hear. Is that plastic, we replace it. If it's a broken plastic, we replace it. And a lot of that I'm sure comes from as you mentioned, just the industry just not knowing what can be done. There's been advancements over the years in plastic repair, so we're just, trying to help change that mindset from, the replace to, let's repair more plastic.
Sure, I know over the years, a lot of times, even if we had just a broken tab at the bottom of a bumper, they would get thrown out because it was a mounting point. But now with the technology that Polyvance and other companies have out, we're seeing a lot more of repairs there. So I'm sure we're going to be discussing that as we go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. That's one of the biggest challenges is mindset. Failed attempts in the past. Early attempts that technicians, body shops, where they had tried to repair plastic and maybe they weren't knowledgeable about it. They weren't exactly sure how to do it. They tried the only method that they knew on how to repair that plastic, and maybe it failed on them, and it just puts a bad rep. It leaves a bad taste in their mouth for plastic repair.
Sure. What do you feel are the biggest challenges that the techs face today in plastic repair?
Yeah, it is. It is that mindset. And plastic repair is seen more of a optional and not reliable. I'd like to say this too. Metal repair has been largely, in the collision repair industry since day one, has been largely accepted, and expected for that matter, right? And plastic repair has just been seen as like the ugly stepchild, if you will, because again people have had unreliable or did repairs and they were just unreliable. So those early fails attempts, prevent people from wanting to learn more about it. Maybe it costs them money, whatever the reason is. The training gap. Many technicians and estimators, they default to replacement not because the part's not repairable, but just because they haven't been trained or empowered to repair the plastic. And it's just inconsistent standards as well across the board. Inconsistent standards. You talk to this technician,
Yep.
And I've heard it, for the past 2 days. You talk to this technician, and it's, this is what we do. And you talk to this technician, and it's, this is what we do. And we try to do as little of it as possible. And yeah, that's some of the biggest challenges for sure.
I know. Early on, I used to see a lot of one-sided repair procedures that they were saying you could just do it, make the plastic repair for one side. How do you feel about the one-sided repair?
One-sided repair on parts. Some parts, it depends on the part. I feel good about it. Yeah, that's absolutely something that can be done. One-sided repairs, absolutely. It depends on the part. It depends on the type of damage that the part has. Say, let's use a bumper for example. It has a tear, across it. You really need to repair both sides of it. The back side to reinforce it, and the front side, you have to repair that side to get rid of the crack. You can't just wipe a filler or something over it to get rid of it. That could, end up with, failure, with a repair like if you repair just the back side and just put a glaze of something across the front, that crack still exists,
Yes.
But for instance, let's take a fender liner. A fender liner, something like that, you can repair a tab on a fender liner or even a crack in a fender liner and do a one-sided repair on that, and it'll hold up because there's no other materials on the other side that are going to crack open because of a slight hairline.
Sure, and that's where I was leaning. When to identify when you need to do a two-sided repair and a one-sided repair. Most of the failed repairs that I've seen over the years were usually on a bumper that they tried to do a one-sided repair, not reinforce the backside. But now, back then we did a lot of chemical repair. Now we are doing a lot more welding, which is where you guys come in and your new equipment, updated equipment. I just went over and saw a demo at your booth.
Oh,
Stuff
nice.
looks great.
Yeah, so actually, we'll take a look at Polyvance's latest and greatest nitrogen plastic welder here. This is Polyvance's Nitro Fuser Touch with TrueFuse technology. We actually introduced this machine at SEMA last year. So, the advantages of the Nitro Fuser is that it really simplifies the process for a technician. So one of the biggest issues that we see when we go into shops for training is equipment setup. They assume that more heat, the hotter, the better. Let's melt the plastic as fast as we can, and, plastic is, susceptible to damage if you overheat it, So with the Nitro Fuser, with TrueFuse technology, it allows you to just touch the plastic type that you're welding, and the machine sets itself up, it's calibrated already for that type of plastic. So if, let's say you're welding polypropylene plastic, you just touch polypropylene and the machine is set up at the correct temperature and the correct flow to weld that type of plastic. It comes with 20 pre-programmed settings in it for the most common automotive plastic, but you can store up to 99 settings in it. Again, it has automatic temperature control, and that comes into play for consistent welds.
Sure, and that to me is what amazed me, because that was part of the problem early on too, is not properly identifying the plastic. So once again, if you identify the plastic, machine pretty much tells you what to do, where to set it, and doesn't tell you how to do the weld, but it gives you a big advantage there. I really like that about your machine. I thought that was pretty amazing.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, and it it actually it also has Wi-Fi connectivity. So if we have any updates for the equipment, you can just connect your machine to Wi-Fi. So let's say that we start seeing a new a plastic that's starting to be used more in the automotive industry. We can identify the correct temperature setting for that plastic and upload it to your machine through Wi-Fi.
Plastic repairs come a long way. So,
It has come a long way, yes, sir.
so how does your equipment differ from other manufacturers in the collision repair industry?
How does Polyvance's equipment differ? Well, just Polyvance in general, we're not just a manufacturer of equipment. We are plastic repair specialists. We're not just selling product. Our focus is razor sharp on plastic repair and everything that we do, and our equipment design and the training that we develop. Every innovation that we pursue is centered on plastic repair. So we put that into our equipment. We want to make the most user-friendly products, welders that we can to simplify it for the technician to make their job easier.
Yes. So, as a technician over the years, my long extended career, I'm getting up there in age now. I also spent my evenings teaching at the local college for collision repair. Been there 18 years, so I taught a lot of plastic repair over the years, and I would say probably about 7 years ago, I'm guessing, we received our first Polyvance welders, and we've been using those to train our students over the years. And like I said, I've seen even your equipment that I just saw today, the new stuff you have out, it's come a long way. So I've seen what Polyvance can do. I do like their equipment. I like they were good about training us, and they were very generous to our school as well. So I will add that in there. They helped us out, and once again, we've been training our students on the system. It's been working great for them. So I just want to give you a big kudos for that too. So
Thank you very much. And the future, in automotive really is plastic. Manufacturers are using more plastic today in place of metal parts. Where you might see
all about the weight.
It's all about the weight, right? It's all about the weight. You want to get, more MPGs, right? You want to get more, more miles out of the, out of a single charge with an EV. And that's, part of that, being able to do that is weight reduction. So weight reduction, where that replacing steel, metal parts, with plastic parts, so plastic isn't going away. It's becoming more and more prevalent, and there's enough plastic on the average vehicle today, to just for a collision center to justify investing into the equipment, investing into training, get the proper training, and I'd like to also mention, it's not just about training the technicians either, it's training the estimators. The estimators, so that they catch these repairs at the front door, because once it gets in the technician's hands and there is a brand new part sitting there because the damaged plastic didn't get wrote for repair, you've already got a part sitting there. Most of the time they're like, all right, yeah, it's here. Let's go ahead and just put the new part in it. That leaves, that definitely leaves money on the table. Body shops are definitely leaving money on the table, by not educating and training, not just the technicians, the whole team. The whole team needs to be knowledgeable and understand what can be done with plastic.
I'll definitely agree with you there.
Yes, sir.
All right. So tell us about the Polyvance latest nitrogen plastic welder. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. I know you touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, well, so a few more features in this, and again, the nitrogen plastic, the Nitro Fuser Touch, it really just simplifies. It simplifies the setup of the machine for the technician. Again, one of the main things that we see when we go into a collision center or go in for training, it is equipment setup. we'll go in to do some training, and maybe the nitrogen welder is cranked up to maximum temperature. The nitrogen flow is turned all the way up to the highest setting on the that it can reach. And again, that's plastic is, it can be ruined if you overheat it, if you burn it. It compromises the integrity of the plastic if you're not using the correct temperature to melt it. So this machine just simplifies that for the technician. Again, they can look at the part, identify what type of plastic it's made out of from the ID symbol on the back, and walk over to the machine and touch that type of plastic, and the machine is going to set the temperature, the nitrogen flow for them. It's not something that they have to, bother with, And, a few things. It has onboard, diagnostics. So if there's something going on with the welder, if the flow is too low, maybe maybe someone forgot to plug the airline into it, which is an important part of it. The machine is actually going to tell you that, hey, you've got low flow, check your connection, check this. It has quick change hoses from the wand to the machine. Hoses get drug across the ground, and, they get a lot of wear and tear on them. And we've simplified that by putting a quick change hose on it. You can literally change out the hose on it, the feed hose on it, in 2 minutes versus before, it might take an hour to change that. So.
Yeah, all I know is it definitely, like I said, I taught plastic repair for years and years and years, and we used to do the chemical two-sided repair, which took time, drying time, and everything else. And this is quick. I'm amazed at how fast you can make a repair. So as far as getting it done faster, and once again, the price of parts nowadays, we all know the price of some of these bumpers nowadays. It's definitely worth everybody's time and money to do more repairs on plastic. So is there, anything else that you want to touch on here? Or
You know what? I would. And, I'm glad you said that, Anton. I'm glad you said that, because that is one of the number one things that I personally hear is when I walk into a body shop and say, what are you guys doing to repair plastic now? What is your process? What is your method? It's, oh, well, we don't repair bumpers. And it's like, okay, well, that wasn't the question. There's hundreds of pounds of plastic on the vehicle. You don't have to, maybe you don't want to repair bumpers for whatever reason, but there are several hundreds of pounds of plastic on the average vehicle. I mean, you just, pop the hood on one and look at all of the plastic on, under the hood. Again, manufacturers are starting to go to plastic fenders for weight reduction, but you've got fender liners, you've got fluid reservoirs, fender flares, splash shields, air boxes, fuse boxes. I mean, the list goes on and on when it comes to plastic. And, we've got a little short video here. Of course, this is sped up, but this is the repair of a crack in a fender liner right here using a nitrogen welder. And I'm glad you mentioned two parts, because adhesives do have their place. They have their place. They absolutely do. But there are some plastics that adhesives don't stick to. Polyethylene being one of them. Adhesives do not stick to that, and there are many parts on a vehicle that are made out of polyethylene. Sure. So plastic welding is really the only option when it comes to parts like that. But yeah, just even on parts that you can use adhesives on, a plastic weld definitely does make for a much stronger repair, a faster repair, just all around the benefits of plastic welding. I'll just say it. It beats adhesive repair. Across the board.
I will add too that one of the things that we did with the students after they did a plastic weld, is we would take that panel and we would put vice grips on both sides of them to see how well the weld worked. And I was actually amazed, from the beginning at how strong it actually is. When you mentioned the strength,
Yep.
it is definitely a strong repair. And once again, there's nothing wrong with taking a test panel of plastic and making that test yourself just to see how well it works.
Well, and that's the thing, with adhesives, you're taking and putting a foreign material, and while it may adhere to it, but you're taking and putting a foreign material on that part and hoping that it sticks to it and holds up for the life of that vehicle, right? You're hoping. With plastic welding, you're not using a foreign material. You're using the same material that part is made from to repair it with. So you're fusing that. Yes, sir. You're fusing that damage, right? You're literally, you're completely mending it back together by fusing it, and then on top of that, using nitrogen, which helps prevent burning the plastic, which compromises the integrity of the plastic. Those things right there just make for a stronger, faster, and more profitable repair for the collision center.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
All right, I think we're up on time here. It was a great presentation. If there's anything else you would like to throw in real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, if anyone wants to see a demo of the Nitro Fuser Touch, come on by, stop by our booth, and and see us, and we'll talk about how we can get your shop, equipped to be more profitable. Everybody talks about sustainability. Well, plastic repair. If you want to be sustainable, plastic repair, now, but definitely in the future, is going to be a big part of that sustainability.
Okay. Well, great. Thanks for coming up and giving us your demo. Appreciate it highly.
Thank you, Anton.